Hi, welcome back everybody. So I am going to finish making my white bread with Poolish. I have my Poolish right here, which is a pre-fermented dough. So as we can see, I'm gonna try not to move the camera too much because I'm working really hard with the camera and it's so very new to me. So anyway, I'm not going to lift up the camera, but I do want to show you this. So it is huge and big. I might do a quick lift just so you guys can see. It's beautiful. It's better than yesterday. Sorry, pardon me while I adjust this again really quick. It's a lot. Working with the camera is a little bit difficult. So, all right, so now is what we're going to do is I am going to add 500 grams of flour, 250 grams of warm water, warmer than yesterday. It's recommended at about 105 degrees. I'm gonna take it to about 95 to 100 degrees. Like I said, it's been very hot here in Chicago. We're gonna add 21 grams of salt and then 3 grams of commercial yeast again to the mixture. So I have a big bowl. It's nice to use clear bowls or glass bowls because you can see the levels. This bowl is nice. I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but there are markings in here. I do my best. I like these bowls because they have this on the bottom so they don't stick. I don't have to put a towel down or anything like that. So we are working with our Polish flour, and I'm going to use the rest of the flour that we started with yesterday. Again, it is 500 grams. So this is about 1,000 grams in this package. I was a little short yesterday, so we'll see if I come up a little short. If I am, I just substitute the extra few grams with AP flour that I have. All right, I'm at 483 grams, so I'm gonna have to add just a little bit. I am saving those bags because I'm doing some research on those flours. The one that I grabbed yesterday was quite different, so, and that's very cool. So we're just going to take this up to 500 grams. Perfect. And then I'll leave that there for a minute. And then I have a tiny little scale that I use for measuring salts and yeasts and things like that. 21 grams of fine sea salt. I love salt. I would really love to go to a salt farm and do some work there and check it out. I've never done that before, but it's fascinating. There's so many different kinds of salt. This is a really beautiful one. It's from Jacobson Salt Company, and they are out of Oregon. This salt comes from the Mediterranean Sea though. So I'm just gonna add this to the flour, and then I'm going to weigh out the yeast really quick. So 3 grams. Perfect. And again, I'm just gonna sprinkle that over the top of that mixture. I'm gonna put my little scale away here. All right, and then I will weigh out my water. First, I'm just gonna do a quick little mixture of my hands with this, just incorporate everything in there. Okay. So I am getting my techniques right now and my information from, I do a lot all over the place, but I do a lot with Ken Forkish, amazing. Everybody knows this that does any sort of bread making. This book is very, very simple, I feel like. I feel like it's very good for the home baker. Flour, water, salt, yeast, and it doesn't take much. I have a little more experience than the traditional home baker just because I've been working in restaurants and I've had a love of baking my whole life. So it's a little bit easier for me to read, I think, but I still think it's a really great book for the home baker. So we're going to do, like I said, 250 grams of warm water. So measuring everything. Speaking of temperature taking, I am going to take the temperature of my ferment, my pre-ferment, before I add anything else to it. It is very active. It's really beautiful. And it's still quite warm. We're still at 76 degrees with that, so that's pretty good. It's very sticky. So we're gonna get some water here. You have to be really careful with the yeast because it needs really warm water, but it will also die at, some yeast will die at 110 degrees, commercial yeast I'm speaking of. Some will, 114 is really hot for it. So when I'm taking it up to 100 to 105, it's really a delicate process. So this is still not quite warm enough. I really want it at about 95, 96. I'm at 94. I think this will be good because my ferment is quite warm right now as well. So we're gonna go with that. I'm going to measure this out, like I said, to 250 grams. Oh shoot, my scale is dying. I might have to go grab my other scale. I'll be right back. Hold on, I think I was just, yeah, there we go. Okay. All right. So I'm going to get rid of my scale here because I will need to knead the dough and mix the dough really well. I'm going to keep this. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the warm water around the outside of the pre-ferment, and then we're going to dump it all into the flour mixture, okay? And I'm really just going to use my hands for all of this. You could use a dough scraper, but I think that it's just better to use your hands. Really, by adding the water to this, we're just trying to loosen it all up so that it will slide out of there really nicely and evenly. Great. All right, and then with my hands, right now I'm just gonna swirl it around and mix everything. I'm going to do a technique that Ken Forkish talks about a lot called the Pincer Technique. Basically, you take your hands like a crab and you do this little motion with it. And it's gentle, but so you're not, you know, hurting the yeast, but you are activating everything and getting that gluten going, which is what's the most important part of all of this is. And you want to incorporate that new yeast and the salt into the mixture really, really well. So this takes a few minutes, so pardon me while we kind of hang out for a second and get this dough going. So already this dough is better than the first time that I did this method. This has a lot to do with the flour too, I believe. So I am going to do some research on this Polish flour and find out a little bit more about it so that I can get back to you guys on everything. Very, very sticky, and that's okay. It's a good thing. So like I said, with this, it's nice because using your hands, because you can really get an idea of how this dough feels is working. You want to make sure there's no clumps of flour. So I'm going to do a mixture of the pincer technique and then a fold. And folding is just kind of reaching underneath of the dough and pulling it up and over. It's also a good idea to have a little bit of water, a little bit of warm water, so you can continuously wet your hands down so that the dough doesn't quite stick as much, which is what I'm going to do here in just a second. So just a little bit of water will help keep that dough from sticking to you too much. This is a very wet dough. It's a 75% hydration, which is pretty good. So kind of lift it up. It's really not, it hasn't formed quite yet, which is what I'm doing. So by doing this, I am forming the gluten. So gluten is proteins, and the more that they are worked, they will get long and stretchy, and they will keep the dough together. And gluten is found in flours and wheat. So when you see things at the grocery store that say gluten-free and they have nothing to do with bread or anything like that, I think it's always so funny. I get that today's, society, we really process everything that we eat. So they're all in these large facilities, and therefore they have to write these things on the label because you never know what's being processed in these giant facilities. Alcohol that comes off as gluten-free is ridiculous. So gluten can't sustain the distilling process. There's no reason to even worry about it with distillation with spirits. Beer is different because it's not all distilled out. Distillation takes all of those. It strips away all of the. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time forming words. I'm also trying to focus on the stove, but it takes away all those impurities. There we go. And produces a very beautiful, clean spirit, clean thing to drink. Distillation is a beautiful process. So don't mind things if you are worried about gluten. I'm not sure why you're watching this, but if you aren't, as far as alcohol goes, it's not something that you ever need to worry about. I understand the need to have gluten-free things. I have friends that have, celiac and things like that. But the fad of a gluten-free diet, I think, is a little overblown. This is looking really, really good. When I'm done with this, I'll wash up my hands a little bit and I will show it to you guys. So again, Pincer Technique, just going like this. And I kind of go all the way to the bottom of the bowl and I just kind of pinch my fingers together. Now I'm not trying to separate the dough. I'm just trying to incorporate all those ingredients. And right now I can still feel slightly lumpy in some spots. So I don't want that. So I'm trying to get rid of those lumps, and this is a really good way of doing that. Sometimes with really beautiful, fine, soft flours like I'm using right now, these soft wheats, that dough can clump a little easier. You don't want to take it and pinch it and do that. You just want to kind of pinch it together. It's a gentle process. This is a living creature, so you got to think of it that way too. It's super cool. That's why I really love the idea of fermentation and stuff. We're dealing with living things. It's amazing. So this is much better than it was yesterday for me. So I'm really enjoying this dough, this flour. I'm gonna look it up. I do need to remember to flour my proofing baskets today. Don't want to have that happen again. So this is about ready. We are gonna let this ferment, now bulk ferment, for about 2 to 3 hours. We'll come back and check on it at 2 hours and see what it looks like, and I will probably let it go for about 2.5 hours. However, during the first hour, we want to make sure that we do 3 folds. So just like I said earlier, it's where you take your, let's see if you guys can see. So basically, I'm gonna take this dough, I'm gonna reach in there, okay? I'm gonna pick it up and fold it over. It's a little weird, but that's what you're doing, okay? And as what you're doing is you're forming the gluten. It's really beautiful because after you do this, you can really watch the dough begin to stretch more and more without breaking. Now you don't want to stretch it so that the dough breaks. You want to stop before that happens. The more you form the gluten, the more incorporated the water and the hydration becomes, because the flour will absorb all of that. Okay, I'm still a little clumpy in spots, but this looks beautiful. I'm very happy with this today. A little different, like I said, and it feels wonderful. All right, you guys, so I'm gonna wash my hands and I want to show it to you. It's still kind of misformed. It feels really like a good yeasty dough, but it kind of looks like a batter, which is fine. It's not done yet. So a couple more. And the thing about it is that you want to do this, but doing it too long can be a lot for the dough as well. It needs time, the gluten needs time to rest and form back. All right, I'm gonna wash my hands, give me a second, and then I'm gonna show you the dough. I don't need my hands to be perfect right now. I just need to get that stickiness off of them. So, all right, this is beautiful. I'm gonna kind of scrape a little bit on the side here so I can see my numbers, know how high it's gonna rise here for me. Yesterday it tripled in size. It was really nice. The dough was really too wet though. I don't think the flour absorbed the water the way that I would really like for it to. So, all right, back. Pardon me. Okay, here we go. So, the dough. It looks really lovely. I'm going to put some saran wrap over the top of this here, and then like I said, so I'm gonna set a timer for 20 minutes, and then I will come in and I will fold it. I'll set a timer for 20 more minutes, do another fold. And when I say fold, I mean all the way around. So I'm not just doing one fold, but I am taking the dough, I'm lifting it up, and I'm folding it all the way around the whole entire bowl until I've done all of it. And I'm gonna do that 3 times, so 20-minute intersections. And after that, I will let it ferment. So that will be 1 hour, and then I'll let it ferment for another hour. I will come back out, I will check on it. And like I said, I'll probably let it go for about, an hour and a half, total of 2.5 hours on this. We will see. I'm gonna leave it on the counter because it's still really warm, humid here in Chicago, so no need to put it in the oven or anything like that. Anyway, thanks you guys for watching, and yeah, any tips or anything, I know these instructional videos are very new for me, so I'm learning along with you guys, and I'm just taking you on my little journey here. So cheers everybody, have a great day.